Richard Yetsenga, Chief Economist, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
There's a lot going on in the world right now. The global economy is pretty disrupted. What's the state of play as we sit here currently?
Disrupted, a good word, I think. I mean, it feels a bit negative, and to be fair, there is some stuff. Geopolitics, differences between countries are changing capital flows, tariffs are changing trade flows. We're in a world where wars happen. I think not that long ago we thought we'd largely left that behind. But as an economist, all of those things are what we call supply side. They're making it harder to do business.
Yeah.
But they're not bringing the economic cycle to a really nasty ruin. So disrupted, yes, but not a recession.
Okay. And how are we seeing central banks respond?
Cautiously and slowly. Rates are coming down because, of course, these things sap initiative, sap productivity, encourage caution on the part of both consumers and businesses. But they're easing in what I call a mid-cycle way. They're not easing highly synchronously. They're not moving aggressively. The local news flow is really important to what each central bank does. But rates are going to keep coming down a bit.
Okay. And then oil, what's your prediction for those prices in the near term?
Yeah, chaotic, I think. If in the last 6 months, we've seen $50 oil prices and $80 oil prices. And even in the last month, we've seen 60-something and 70-something. So it's been incredibly volatile. I think where we are kind of 60, 70 is towards the low end of the range. And I think that's kind of the natural resting point. The journey has been pretty wild, though.
And finally, Richard, you've used the phrase shaken, not a shambles. What do you mean by that, as we look ahead?
Yeah, just trying to play into people because the news we see just seems quite poor.
Yes.
And it's a challenge, but it's not the sort of thing which I think is going to mean large-scale business bankruptcies. I don't think they're things which are going to throw large numbers of people out of work. I think what they are is a challenge to ways of doing business and a challenge to companies trying to keep their returns high, but not a challenge for large-scale economic problems.
Okay. Richard, as always, we really appreciate your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.